So this is the back of the Mission Victory escape room, just kind of giving you a walk around the room. We have a basic Ethernet router, TP-Link router that allows us to control the game from anywhere. So one person could theoretically run the entire thing. There's a set of security cameras so we can see what's going on in the room. This back here is a Mosquito server that ties all of our Raspberry Pis together. This is an Apache server that is running UserSpice. And that's what does all the ATM and all the back-end processing of the game. It processes the sounds and all that kind of stuff. Back here, this is kind of a good example of how I'm using this. We have these 25 buttons that are on the other side of that button maze you saw, and they're all going into an Arduino. And the Arduino is sending the information over serial to the Raspberry Pi, which eventually sends it to the network and tells it, you know, hey, they pushed this button. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? And so I like using the Pis as Arduino collectors. Eventually we'll probably get more that have Wi-Fi and stuff like that and just go straight to the servers with that. But here's another Arduino that's powering this stuff. This is the back of the penalty buttons and things like that. I took an ATX power supply, cut it up and divided it into its parts so that we can get 3.3 volts, 5 volts, 12 volts, whatever we need. And then there's a couple of banks of relays that have more spots on them than we need. There's another Raspberry Pi collecting stuff up here. We have a tiny Arduino. This Nano is what processes all of our Morse code on its own system. It was just kind of complicated code, so I decided to have it be its own thing. There's another Arduino over here that processes a lot of different buttons, and this is kind of the collector of the left side of the room. And this one I had to change out, so it's just kind of sitting there. But this is what does this, the back of that motion detector game. So the whole room has 5 Raspberry Pis and probably 8 or 9 Arduinos. It's not that you necessarily absolutely needed that many, but that's what I felt like runs the game right. So if you look, like even in the top of the camera, this is there's a Raspberry Pi up there that has a button connected to it, a power supply, and then it's actually using a Raspberry Pi camera to take the picture. So it's pretty cool to see how it all works. It's definitely been a challenge, and the idea is that I actually have about 15 more puzzles than what's in the room. So the idea is that this thing can grow year after year, and I can just keep adding things to it. The person in the back can see the score, or kids can look through the window and see the back of the room but not see what's going on in the front of the room, so they can see how the other teams are doing. But the idea is you build it and you kind of build the infrastructure. UserSpice has been great for processing a lot of stuff. MQTT has been fantastic for just allowing all this stuff to talk to each other basically in real time. And so yeah, it just all comes together. And so the idea, keep adding to the room, keep making new challenges and figuring out ways to have fun with the kids. So that's how it works.